Welcome to episode 2 of Metal's Horror House. There's always been one thing I do not like about Pokemon, and is that they're just not scary enough. So today, we're going to take Pikachu, and we're going to turn him into a little nightmare. And I guarantee you after this, you probably will have nightmares. I did. Of course, what we're using is Zbrush, a sculpting app, 3D app. And right now we're just kind of blocking out shapes. It's kind of looking like Eggman from Sonic, but don't worry, it'll all come together in the end. Kind of placed out where the eyes are going to be, where the nose, and now where the mouth is. This little cute little button nose. It's so cute. Don't let it fool you. Puffing out the cheeks a little bit because Pikachu has those big red cheeks. Now the eyes are too big, so I decided to make the eyes a little bit smaller, you know. We're going for a little bit of a more horrifying look. I really love adding in thick cheekbones and brows and really pushing those kind of bony landmarks. I feel like it really gives a more sinister look, I don't know, to my sculpts, I guess. Here we're playing with the mouth a little bit, trying to find an open mouth pose. So he's kind of like, rah, like that. Instead of Pika Pika, he's going to be like, Pika Pika. Let's just say you don't want to catch this Pokemon. And this whole idea of Pikachu is like, what happened if Pikachu got infected by like cosmic virus and he mutated into this gross, gigantic thing, alien-ish Pokemon. Adding in those little cheekbones, which are eventually going to be where we make them red. Now we're just, I think, appending an eye here, so we kind of have an idea where the eyeball is going to be. Now it's not going to be your typical round eyeball. It's actually going to be kind of more of a sphere here. I did want to give it more like a somewhat of an anime kind of look, like an anime eyeball. Not just cylinder, but you know how animes have those kind of disc eyes, and then we just mirror it to the other side. Add some texture to the top of the head here, and now we're appending a sphere, or inserting a sphere, I should say, and we're going to make the ears, which they're more like horns. No, they are horns. You know, Pikachu's a bit horny here, and instead of just having flappy mouse ears, I wanted them to be horns, and a little bit different. This Pikachu is going to be different. Yep. What I love about this program is, and concepting in general, is that you can just start pulling shapes, adding detail, and, you know, just create ideas off the fly, and whatever comes, you bring into fruition, right? Now here, playing with the mouth a little bit, adding in a little bit of a lips detail. I want this to be like a big mouth, like he's ready to, I don't know, maybe eat Ash or eat the other Pokemon. Now I really wanted him to have like these big lips and these big gums, but he started looking like Daffy Duck a little bit, as you can see, and I was not taking that at all. So we kind of just undo everything here and adjust the jaw here, and now we start to add in the gums a bit, which we are going to add the teeth here. You know, of course, Pikachu needs those big, lovely, delicious lips to eat people. We append a sphere, which are, I think they're going to be these are going to be the teeth right here. Give them like a little bit of a curvy teeth, shrink them down, and we just start to, well, bring out the teeth all in these gums, and then we just lay them out how we like them, mirror it to the other side, so we only have to do half the work. I love this program. And then, you know, we duplicate the teeth, we shrink it down so it has rows of teeth. Now we do this on upper and the lower, well, eventually. Start to add in a little bit more bags and a little bit more detail, a little more bony landmarks, you know, kind of trying to give it a little bit of human anatomy. And here I decided to, let's add in another eye, because Pikachu is going to have 4 eyes because he is a predator. He's going to see in front, and he can see off to the side, maybe even in the back. He'll know where you are, and he'll hunt you down and don't want to know. Now, if you start to add in kind of like human anatomy a little bit, it kind of brings your sculpts a little bit more life. It makes them a little bit more believable. And of course, I mean, you don't have to have complete 100% human anatomy. If you're creating a monster or a creature, you just gotta make it believable that it could exist. Now, if everything had human anatomy perfectly, it'd all look the same. Work a little bit on the bottom teeth here. Like I said, kind of do what we did with the upper. He's just a big mouthful of teeth right there, like just horrifying. We start to place in the body. I was gonna go with a hulking beast of a Pikachu. Just like gigantic and buff, and honestly, I didn't think that would be scary, so we kind of slim him down a little bit. We put it in a spine here first, kind of mark down, I guess, the middle line here. And at this point, he was getting too bulky, so I decided to like squish him down a little bit, make him a bit thinner. And this is where chat said, hey, he kind of looks like one of those things from Scooby-Doo. And then we add these little, what are these, like little tentacle things. I'm gonna put tentacles on these things. It'll make sense when it happens. Kind of inspired by the Alien or Aliens franchise. We're gonna give him more like a little hunchy look here. Bring everything forward and, you know, suck it in. Suck in that gut, Pikachu. Yeah, there you go. Gonna bring those hips a little bit. And we start to add in a little bit of abs here. Now, this is not gonna stay. This is just more of a placeholder than anything. Kind of blocking in where the pecs are and giving this kind of like skin, almost like skin pulls or striations, or not really skin folds, but I guess you could say they're skin folds. Start to mark out where the ribs are going to be. Still, this is a concept phase, so, you know, it's all up to change. And we take those ribs and we just kind of block them out and make them bigger. Here is where we add in the tentacles where they're coming out from. I might be asking, Metal, why are the tentacles coming out of his body? Well, later on we add something which will kind of make sense as to why those tentacles are there, right? It's another part. Maybe a parasite. It's a parasite, okay. Go back to where the ribs are and we start to kind of make these ribs like just like sharp, and he's almost like anorexic kind of looking, right? I didn't want him to have a lot of meat. I wanted him to be more like a bony, and like his bones are almost like armored. He's like just really, I guess, pointy. And did I mention bony? Yeah, bony. Here, we kind of put it in a little tail, a little placeholder. This tail took way too long, but we just append like a sphere, stretch it out, and we try to make it look like the Pikachu tail. I decided to make the tail really bony, and I wanted those kind of like curves, like the lightning bolt curves. I wanted the points to be almost like spines, which I thought was pretty cool. Pikachu is very bony in this mutation stage. Super bony. His tail is bony, the rib cages are bony, his face is still fat, but is also bony. We pen a sphere in a cylinder, and then we just stretch out the cylinder, and this is where we start to try and make the arms. Now, I wanted him to have these long, nasty arms, almost like Slender Man, almost like it, like Pennywise from It, where he's like outstretching, he grabs Georgie from the sewer. I wanted like long arms like that. We add in the spines here, we duplicate them, and it goes all along the back, and then they're gonna be like protruding from the skin, so we'll paint this later to make it look bloody. Come back and damp standard where the pecs are gonna be a little bit, and where the ribs, and no nipples. Pikachu doesn't have nipples, I don't think. Do mice have nipples? Add in more striations here. Of course, you don't want to do too much detail, though sometimes I get carried away and I can't help myself. We add these like little teeth, little bony teeth on his ribs. Decided to add in a tongue instead of abs, but this does not stay because it does not suit this sculpt very well. And we come back to it. We start to add in more detail here, kind of making it like more organic looking. Kind of want to have that like gross, almost like xenomorph feel to it a little bit. Using the damp standard brush and making all these like folds and lines and just like skin being pulled, all the mutated grossness that comes with this virus parasite thing. Here I wanted to have like skin stretching along the ribs, and I'm quite happy with how it turned out. It's pretty gross. If you want to make something gross, make sure the skin's like stretching, like almost like the ribs or whatever body part is about to like burst out. The skin's gonna rip open and then you're gonna see it's their muscles or something. Come back to the face and we just start adding a little bit more detail, kind of sinking in those eyes. Pikachu has not slept in a long time. You know, he's on the hunt. Ash is in hiding and Pikachu wants to find him and merge him into himself, and they will become one. Come back to the arms and we just start adding in arm detail, the anatomy. Arms are always hard for me, so some of this anatomy might look a little gaunchy, but you know, I try my best. All right, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to learn how to sculpt arm anatomy, okay? But I think it turns out okay. Anyways, we did the deltoid, and I like to take the damp standard brush and kind of carve in where the muscles might be, and then come back with the clay build-up brush, and then just kind of fill in where those muscles are. Now, I'm sure there's like an easier way to do this, but for me, this was the way. I do know my anatomy as part of my career, but it's one thing to know your anatomy, and it's another thing to sculpt the anatomy. So if you want to make believable creatures or characters, make sure you know your anatomy. Now, you don't need to go into like hard detail knowing every single muscle of the human body. You just got to know the main ones, the big forms, pretty much. I maxed out the arm here and I rotated because I want the arms to come in like almost like a gorilla stance. These arms are so big that his knuckles are just resting on the floor. We add in the elbow and the triceps. As you can see, it gets a little wonky. I used reference. I think it was just the placement of these arms and how they are turning and rotating that kind of threw me off. And of course, what's great about this is I can always go back and correct the anatomy once I get better at arm anatomy. It's just positions, it just throws me off. Here we work on the hand. For some reason, I just love sculpting hands. We append a sphere and the cylinders, and we just kind of gonna have the hands resting on the floor. And what we do here is we detail one of the fingers, and of course the thumb there. And then all we're gonna do is we're gonna duplicate it for the rest of the fingers. Of course, we're going to adjust each finger to make it look, you know, because not all fingers are the same size. Of course not. Do a little bit of detail on the thumb here. Honestly, just there's a lot of detail work here. Just filling in where the fat would be on the thumbs and where the fat would fold. We add in some sharp nail here, like a little, I guess a claw. His nails are claws. Let's just say that, all right? We add in more forms here on the hand. Using my own hand as reference. I mean, the best reference is yourself. Or that's what I was once told that. I forget by who. And as you can see here, we got all the fingers in place, pretty much. And the hand's looking pretty cool. Once we're done with the arm, we mirror to the other side, and we take the fingers and mirror to the other side as well. So it's only half the work. This is where we start with the legs. We take the curved tube brush and we try and figure out what kind of shape do we want the legs. Now, they're not looking like much, honestly. I went through a lot of iterations of what the legs should look like, but this is what we ended up with. I kind of went with like a raptor-ish kind of legs. You'll see. We started to try and block out where the leg muscles would be. Here I wanted some sort of muscle coming down into the calf there. Maybe like the mutation got really messed up and the muscles didn't form correctly. Start to add in where the claws are going to go and then where the tendons are of the foot. Blocking in where the calf is. Trying to make these feet a little bit more slender. Like a lot of his momentum is through those feet and the legs. He uses his arms to swing and run at the same time, so he's really fast. I mean, if we have claws on the hands, we gotta have claws on the feet, the toenails, yes. For shredding, for holding people down, other trainers that are trying to catch him and then he can eat them, I guess. We had some bony landmarks on the back here, like spikes kind of protruding through the skin. We had a spike on the back of the heel there too, you know, a little bony spike, which is great. And we just start adding in more detail, trying to refine the leg here. And here we come back to the stomach and we carve out where that weird tongue was. And we start to add in a bit of a hole where, well, where kind of like a parasite is going to be. Now it looks like something else, but trust me, it's not what you think it is, okay? I did this with another sculpt I did a while ago with like a parasite coming out of it. And I told you about the tentacles on the back. Well, that's what this thing is. That's the parasite's tails coming out of his back here. So we make the teeth and we duplicate them and make rows of teeth and move them all into place with the move brush, kind of like what we did with the head. And then we just start to block in more shapes, kind of make it look fleshy. And you just want to have like interesting shapes, make it look organic, but not too inflated. And this is pretty much its second mouth. So the whole idea here is that he pins you down, so he can either like lift you up and eat you, or he like holds you down and then his belly opens up and this giant parasite comes out and then it devours you. It's kind of gross. Now we come to the tail. The tail took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do. We take the trim dynamic brush and we kind of make it look like a hard surface, and then we make some holes into it where we start to stretch it out a bit and bring things more into alignment. Because I didn't want to have just a solid tail. I wanted to give it a different kind of look. I wanted this thing to look a bit bony, a bit tendony, and slowly it starts to take shape into this nasty looking tail, which I'm very proud of. All right, this is where we start to paint. I wanted to go with kind of like a yellowish green, almost. Nothing too yellow, but we're gonna come back and add more yellow to this thing. Make the claws white, and then this parasite's gonna be orange, and the horns gonna be a little bit more of like a weird yellow, I suppose. The eyes are black with a bit of a red, which is horrifying in a white pupil. Pikachu has red cheeks, but it's like a red over this kind of black on the outside. Kind of like that, which, you know, I think it's turned out pretty good. The nose is black, and then we kind of color in the mouth pink, like the gums. Add a little bit of black there for the mouth. More depth there. Of course, these are gonna be red for the muscles. Maybe they're like bloody muscles, kind of mutated in. Of course, this is gonna be like another mouth where the parasite comes out of, so that's gonna also be a gum-like color. And then we fill in where the spines are protruding with red, because, you know, it's kind of bloody back there. We get a bit of like a brighter green here, and we start to kind of like go over the body a little bit, give it a little bit more depth. And then we get a nice kind of bright yellow, and we start to add yellow pretty much all over the body here, because Pikachu is yellow, and it blends really nicely with this kind of light green and then the brighter green on the back here. And we just start to add the yellow around more of the bony parts of the body. We go to the tail and add this black tip to it. Some pictures show that Pikachu has like brown on the bottom of the tail and then black on the tip of the tail. So I decided to go with the tip of the tail to be black. Maybe he used lightning bolt and his tail is now charred. Make the lips kind of orangey. I thought it looked cool. I thought it looked good. We add some black in here to kind of really sink in the eyes a bit. And then I do a really tedious process of filling in each kind of crevice with a light black. So when we render it out, it'll kind of look cartoony, almost like a comic book style. Nightmare Pikachu. Well, I can say for certain that I'll be having nightmares about this Pikachu. If you guys enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more art videos like this, and leave a comment down below. what do you want to see next? Want to see another Pokemon? A nightmare Pokemon? And as always, I'll see you in the next spooky video.